Okay, this is Returning Retro. I am Jake, and friends, I think I'm in love. Before I say a single other thing, I have to be clear from the very beginning. This video is not sponsored by the Minimal Company. The device that I have, it was purchased secondhand by me from someone else who also was just a regular old person who backed the project, got the device, wasn't really satisfied with the size of it. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I purchased it. Now, I do have one on order directly from Minimal Company, but I don't think that it's going to be here probably until sometime June-ish, if that. I'm not really sure. I could not wait to get my hands on one of these, and boy, do I have some thoughts about it. So you can see here, you got the rear camera with flash, company logo. You've got the volume buttons as well as the screen refresh button. And you've got your hybrid SIM tray. I haven't had a chance to test it with an SD card yet, but I will definitely do so and let you guys know how that goes. But I've been using it with US Mobile. The SIM I have in it right now is with their Lightspeed network, which is T-Mobile. I haven't had any problems at all. RCS booted right up. Phone calls coming in, phone calls going out, text messages, you name it, data. I mean, speed tests are fine. I haven't had any problems at all. Here you have the power button fingerprint scanner. And I will say, I've been impressed with the fingerprint scanner. I would say it is a 9 out of 10 accuracy, where I think I scored the Big Me Highbrake Pro, which has a very similar one, as an 8 out of 10. This one is really great. I don't find myself having to reposition my finger. Only 1 out of 10 do I need to have a rescan. Front-facing camera is right here, and I actually found the front-facing camera to be pretty good quality, or I guess I should say relatively good quality for what we're getting here. The navigation buttons are right here on the front, so you've got home, back, and recent apps, or your app switcher right there. And then as you can see, we've got our lovely Panda screensaver for when the screen is turned off. Activate it right there. You can see the refresh. Now I have replaced the minimal launcher with Niagara. I like Niagara on most devices and it works really great on this one. That being said, I could use the launcher that came with it without reservation. I went ahead and did a couple of posts on Reddit, as well as asked a couple of friends of mine who I know are following this project what questions they have about it. For this first impressions video, I have been using the device for a little over a day. I got it yesterday afternoon, and I've been using it straight through, basically in the manner that I anticipate I will be using it. So a digitally intentional manner, not super all in on the smartphone. So for example, I don't have a browser on it that I use. I don't have a lot of the apps that I normally would use with a regular iPhone, Galaxy type of a thing. But at the same time, I also didn't go full basic phone on it either and just do only calls and texts. I did a little bit of mixtures, and we can go over some of that stuff right now. But yeah, let's dive into some of the questions you guys have. I posted it 2 places. I posted it to the Minimal Phone subreddit, or maybe it's even just called the Minimal Company subreddit, as well as the Returning Retro sub, where hopefully all of you wonderful people are. Okay. Here we go. Let's go through these. Okay, we've got a couple of questions about alternate characters. So the Swedish alphabet with alternate characters. I can't probably help out too much with the Swedish one, but I appreciate asking. I mean, I'll try to. That'll be something in the long-term review, what I call my real-world review. I'll see if I can factor that in. So thanks for that, Character Hippo 282. I'll do what I can there. Let's see. Roth84, not from Sweden, same as a German. The QWERTY. Oh, German. Okay. I do actually speak German, so I can maybe do a little bit more testing on this. I know that they've got the umlauts. They've got the SZ. We'll see what we can do there. Again, it's going to come in a different video. Non-influencers who have actually received a phone. I don't know if I'd call myself an influencer, but like I said at the top, I purchased this. And not only did I purchase it from someone who had had it before. So there is no connection, direct connection between me getting this phone and the Minimal Company. Ooh, this is a really good one. Wilbur the Walrus. Do you actually feel yourself being less drawn to use your phone? That's really the main selling point of the device. Yes, for those who are not familiar, the Minimal Phone, model number MP01, you can see here, is a smartphone with a monochrome ePaper display. And by that very nature, similar if you guys saw my videos on the Big Me Highbrake Pro, That itself, with the slower refresh rate, with the monochrome display, with the nature of the ePaper technology, it's just not quite as fluid of an experience. It adds an additional layer of friction that I find makes it so that it's just less appealing to use as a smartphone, or diving into the doom scrolling or getting super distracted by your phone. External keyboard. Ooh, this is really good. I've actually not tried this. So credit to Tava Highlander. Wants to know if this can be used with an external keyboard. So what I'm actually going to do is take my next dock. Hey, it does. Look at that. And there is mouse input as well. Very cool. So yeah, you can plug a wired keyboard and mouse into the minimal phone and it works fine. Another great question here, friends. Snowcom79 wants to know how difficult a jump it would be going from a regular modern smartphone to this device right here. I imagine it would be pretty tough for a lot of people, and let me explain why. This brings with it so many different aspects that create friction that you just don't run into with a regular smartphone. You've got not only a black and white display, but a slower refresh rate. The entire workflow on this device or ones like it is going to be much slower than people are accustomed to with a regular smartphone, even compared to, say, a mid-range or a budget smartphone, because of how they're designed with the modern operating systems. In fact, I have seen some of these popping up being sold secondhand, I think because people were just expecting something out of this device that they didn't actually get. Not necessarily because the device is anything that it claims not to be. I think that they were just expecting, like I said, a black and white screen iPhone with a physical keyboard, and that is not what this is. However, for people looking for a device to help them with their either digital minimalism, but even more so digital deliberatism, because it does have the full Android on there, this is going to be a great device. I myself, on my returning retro journey, have been taking a step back from the different smartphones. I use the Highbreak Pro, so I already had some experience with an ePaper, e-ink display on a smartphone, and then coming to this, the transition for me personally has honestly been seamless. It is a joy to use. Like I said, I think I'm in love with this device. But for people that haven't had that prep work done, or that are maybe expecting a device that is not what this device actually is, I imagine it could be very, very tough. And size comparison, awesome. So yeah, we can do that right now as well. So for this, I'm going to bring this little bad boy right up here. This is my BlackBerry Bold 9700. You can see obviously the minimal phone dwarfs it. Now on the other side of the spectrum, however, I don't have it in the housing, but this is side by side with a Clicks for iPhone 15 Pro Max. So here you can obviously see that the minimal phone is going to be much, much smaller if this is the route that you're going to be taking to get your QWERTY physical keyboard fix in 2025. That being said, right here is an iPhone 11. So I think in one of my posts, I had said that the minimal phone was going to be about the same size as the Pro Max version. I was mistaken. It is actually really close in size to just the regular sized iPhone 11. In fact, the iPhone 11 is just a little bit taller, but a little bit thinner. And of course, we've got to do the tried and true Rubik's Cube size comparison. So it's a large device. I know it's not as small as they had originally hoped to get it to be. We do have a headphone jack, and I love it. I've used it. It works fine. The USB-C port there on the bottom, and then on the top, I think you've got a microphone, and that's about it. What I'd like to do now is just kind of show everyone what it's like to use the minimal phone. So like I said, in fact, maybe what let's do here, and you can watch me while I'm doing this. Let's get a good angle on it. I am going to go back and change the launcher to show you exactly what it comes with and give you more of that right there, the home app. Minimal launcher. And let's go back. So there it is. Now to get to your apps, you just swipe up from the bottom. and you can see they've done it in pages instead of just letting everything scroll all together. Pretty easy to scroll through. I personally really do like the minimal launcher for what it gives you, pretty much everything that you need and nothing that you don't. If you hold, it gives you some extra options, so you can change the layout of where you want your home apps to show. You can have it show the date and time right there if you want on the home screen. You can have it show the status bar, not show the status bar. I like having it show status bar, and I'll show you why. Sure, why not? We'll do battery reading. We'll go all in, friends. So if we go back here to the home screen, you'll see it's moved everything over. It shows your battery, it shows the date, it shows the time. Now from here, if I swipe down, it brings me my notifications. And if I swipe down again, it brings me the rest of my control center here. However, if you turn the show status bar off, I will admit, I think that this is more aesthetically pleasing here that you can see. However, you have to swipe down once to show the status bar, again to get to your notifications, and then one more time to get to the full settings button as well as control panel. I don't personally like that very much. It adds one extra too many steps, so I usually go in when I'm using this and turn it off. Well, and right there you can see it's got a single bottom firing speaker. Guys, while I was on that phone call, I just noticed that this is like a 1-to-1 size of what they've printed on the box to the actual phone itself. That is pretty cool. I really, really like the Android version that they have on here. It's just a vanilla, I mean, it's as stock Android as I think you can really get. Anyone that's used Android is going to feel right at home with these settings. You can see here it comes with the 256 gigs. This probably is a good time to go over to the presets. So you can have a couple of different refresh speeds. I usually do it on the slowest because it offers the greatest clarity. It offers the best battery life. They have a hybrid mode that is supposed to be able to tell when you are scrolling or watching video versus something being stationary, and it will adjust your refresh rate accordingly. And then obviously you've got the fastest one they call Ultra, which is for videos, scrolling, but you lose a lot of detail when you do that. And I'll do examples of all of those in the real world review. Reading, I can show you here. Let's open up my e-reader app. Some people have complained about the clarity of the screen. I find it to be perfectly readable. I went in, just changed a couple of the settings on my Read Era app, and it works great. I like how this app, and I think some of the Kindle apps can do this as well. Don't quote me on that, but by default, you can use your volume buttons for page turning, and then the screen refresh button is really handy right there if you ever need it. I find that I don't really need it very much. And then naturally you can also use the touchscreen for navigation as well. One other thing that I would maybe mention in this preliminary first impressions video is the battery life. You can see right there it's at 40% after using it for over 24 hours. I didn't turn it off overnight or anything like that. It just was in standby all through the night. I will say I have gone in and done a couple of tweaks on apps that I do have on the phone that I'm not necessarily going to be using all the time. So Spotify is a good example. The podcasts and some of the music that I was listening to just to test the headphone jack as well as the speaker, rather than using it to stream from Wi-Fi or from the mobile data, I went and downloaded the song onto the device so that it would just pull from the device itself, save some battery. Some of the apps that I don't have on here currently, but I did over the course of the last 24 hours that I wanted to have quick access to, but I didn't want to have necessarily bothering me with notifications or draining my battery. I would go in, I would turn off all notifications, and I would go in and heavily restrict the background battery usage so that if it wasn't turned on, open on the screen, it wasn't going to be using any resources from my device. So some of that I think is contributing to why, in fact, I think I charged it up to 100% and first started using it yesterday at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can see here well over 24 hours and I'm still at 40%. I think some of that is why. Another reason is likely due to I do not use the illumination hardly ever. If I need to, if it's dark, I'll turn it on, I'll turn it down. You can kind of see changing the temperature of the illumination, which is pretty handy for people that like to that have that sensitivity to it. You've got some presets down here. I'll go over those a little bit more in the real world review. This is going to be your keyboard backlight. I'll do that in the real world review as well and show you what that looks like there. So more to come, friends. This is a really neat device. I really like it a lot. I think that as the software refinements continue coming out, it's just going to get better from here. But stay tuned. I'm going to use this as my exclusive device for probably about 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks. I'm going to do using it as a basic phone, which means calls and texts only for at least a day to see what that experience is like. I'm going to keep using it obviously as my digital intentional approach is usually my day-to-day approach to devices, and let you know how that goes. And then I will, for a couple of days, use it as a regular smartphone. I'll do navigation, I'll do YouTube, I'll do everything that you would with a normal, regular old run-of-the-mill smartphone to let you guys know what it's like on the minimal phone. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Stick around. We'll see you soon.